Hi guys, the name is Mark and we're just going to do a quick little effective video here on grounding, and hopefully this will explain a few things, and I'll kind of explain why I do it. Now what happens is we've all heard the term bad energy, or that person has bad energy, or that person has negative energy, right? Well, it's actually quite the contrary. It's not negative energy, it's positive energy that's being built up. It's almost like if you were a capacitor having a charge, a voltage applied to it, and a charge building up over so many time constants, and then all of a sudden this charge never being released. So there's all this pent up energy of this charge that's never getting released to ground. And voltage is the potential difference between 2 points, which always, with a multimeter, wants to be measured to the base is ground, which is always at 0 volts potential. So effectively what you want to do is you want to be at 0 volts potential, because if I were to probably take a multimeter to most people, and if I measured the applied voltage on them, the applied reading would probably be like anywhere from 5 to 7 volts. So you don't want to have any of this excess voltage built up to you, because then it's pent up energy. So you can see the term now that it's positive energy. It's not negative energy or bad energy. It's actually a positive applied energy that's driving you crazy, because there's no release back to ground. And where do people like to go when they're dead? They go back to ground. Why? Because we are L. We are short for electricity, LOI, Elohim, right? The whole 9 yards, the electron, lady elect, right? I could go on for this with days. Pi, right? You know, power over power divided by current times the applied. So you can see where I'm going with this. So I was an electrician by trade, and I gave all that up to the Queen, but nonetheless, I was an electrician for many years, so I do have a good understanding and basis of what I'm talking about. So effectively, even right now while I'm talking to people, I'm just going to run this up close. This is just a device here, and I'm going to show this. And what happens is, if this is the equivalent of, say, as if I were standing outside in my bare feet on the earth, right? And wet ground is the best to stand on, unless there's like tons of lightning strikes. But anyhow, so this is the equivalent of standing outside bare feet on the ground, which is called earthing or grounding yourself. So what I'm doing here is there's Wi-Fi transmissions from, say, like this place and the neighbors, and I mean, all you got to do is like click on your computer and you'll see how many Wi-Fi transmissions are going through your house. So imagine when you're sleeping and stuff, that, you know, all this is like, it's frying your brain like a scrambled egg, basically, is what's going on, because they're microwaves, to be exact, right? They're small waves and you can't see them. So I kind of blame this alien technology of, say, cell phones and Wi-Fi's and the whole 9 yards, the net, right, on being like a real destroyer of people's happiness. And it's kind of removing the L out of us, right? And so now basically I'll show you guys, when you're sleeping and stuff, like, you probably don't necessarily want to be out in the ground sleeping in the middle of the night and getting, you know, eaten by bugs and the whole 9 yards. So when you're indoors and you're sleeping, you can see that this is just a simple plug here attached to one wire, which is attached to the ground, okay? And I just put a ring on the other end of it, and that's that. So it's not actually attached to the hot side and the identified side of the plug, which would energize this wire. And what I'm going to start doing too is installing 2 milliamp fuses right in between these, in case, you know, there were lightning and stuff, but chances are you'll win the lottery first before you have to worry about getting struck by lightning. So what I do is I manufacture these things, and I do this not for profit. I just do this because, like, so many people I've been encountering, they've had like jumpy leg syndrome. Like my girlfriend snores, this stops her snoring, shuts her up right there. Now it might not work for all people, but some people it'll stop them dead in their tracks right there. You know, and basically what this is all about, people, if you really want to know, is it's about zeroing out your potential back to zero. You want no applied potential to you whatsoever that's not being released. Otherwise, that's called pent up energy. So you can see where we're going with this. So now, basically, in a nutshell, most illnesses start from inflammation, and they're acute illnesses, to be exact. So effectively, when something becomes acute, that's when, if it becomes terminal, that's when you have a serious problem, because the inflammation, it's terminal now, it doesn't want to go away. So this really stops the inflammation. Even bug bites and like cuts and stuff, this will heal them in no time. Like my buddy had a real bad wipeout on his bike and stuff, and his arms were scabbed and almost like third-degree burns off the road rash. And effectively, like in about 4 days, man, this thing, apparently, from what he told me, had all that all healed up and barely any like scars. So I can't say enough about this stuff, people. The bottom line is you've been isolated from ground by wearing shoes and all this Wi-Fi and EMFs and from lights and the whole 9 yards. This applied pressure, this voltage is getting induced to you, and it has nowhere to flow. And so hence again, that pent up positive energy, and it's not bad energy, it's positive energy that's driving you crazy. So I just want to clarify that. So effectively, this will annihilate this, and the inflammation when you're sleeping, that's when your body's trying to repair most damage from the day that it's absorbed, and that's why this is great to wear. Now, I'll give you guys a heads up. I don't go touching heavy appliances with this. I'm an electrician by trade. Normally when I work with electricity, the last thing I'd ever want to do is ground myself, but I'm not working with electricity, and all I'm doing is just stopping Wi-Fi transmissions, light transmissions, EMFs, electric motive force, the whole 9 yards from entering my body, and it zeroes it out. So rather than having your internal organs, say, getting cooked by all this Wi-Fi and stuff, well, this is what we're doing, people. So I've got some pictures on Facebook and stuff. If you want, you can just type in the word grounding, but with a capital G, and the rest is in lowercase letters. And you can see the pictures there. I show people basically how I'm making these, the whole 9 yards. I do this not for profit, okay? If anybody would like to make any contributions and donations, whether it be material, time, anything like that, money, feel free to help me out, because all I'm out to do is, I'm not doing this because I'm looking for profit. If I wanted to do that, I could just become a commercial whore, but I'm not a whore, so I'm not about to do that. I do this out of love and charity, and everybody keeps giving me shit. Oh, we could make money off this. I can't make money off the truth, people. I do this out of love, and I do this because I love everybody, and I want to see everybody get out of this batshit crazy ass world. And we've all heard the term, oh, that guy, he's well grounded or well rounded. Where do you think that term comes from, people? Obviously because he's well grounded, he's well based, he's not all aggressive and antsy and in a road rage when they're driving and stuff. So people have to understand that. Now, back to, I don't touch any heavy appliances, and I never walk up to an actual plug and touch the bare parts of this if it was plugged in or sticking out a little bit, as that would blow up, right? So you don't want to do that. And even if I have a 2 milliamp fuse, well, you could still hurt yourself, right? So I'm not too concerned. But anyhow, the bottom line is, people, these devices are great, and if anybody wants to like help out with like giving me material supplies, I've just been buying like new wire and stuff, but this is like old wire I've had stored and pulled off like old job sites, so I'm just effectively recycling reused stuff, right? So anyhow, you know, like say for example, if you're talking on a cell phone, right? You got your cell phone. Well, this zeroes out the potential because the magnetic radio waves want to flow to ground, right? And it's just that simple. But I'm not touching heavy appliances. You guys can't see this, but I'm touching my computer right now. And the reason why I'm not worried about touching the computer is because it's actually got a transformer, and this transformer is isolated from ground by the coil. So if one coil blows, it's not going to continue, and it's only say 9 or 12 volts out to that anyhow. So not even playing with a $120 after this point, right? It's a step down transformer. So once again, don't be operating toasters, electric frying pans, playing guitars with this stuff on, right? Because then you want to be isolated from ground. But when you're not doing that stuff and you're just using simple cell phones and computers, stop frying your brains out. If you guys would like to know more, I'll try to answer more in a bit, but do keep in mind, like, I'm very busy. I'm trying to do other things in my life and all kinds of craziness, but this is my mission. So again, if anybody would like to come along and help with this, perhaps we can get a lot more people grounded in the world who are aggressive and vexatious to the spirit, and we can bring them back down to love and being well grounded, right, well rounded and peaceful. So anyhow, I send everybody green lights, and until then, much peace, love, respect to all always. Cheers. Bye.